Well, you know what? Let's just get started because that way we can talk about Monster Hunter Wilds. All right, how's that? Does that sound good, Phil?
Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Welcome in everyone to the GGG Podcast, episode 68. Thank you for joining us. We got some good stories this week, lots to jump into, including a new Jump Ship trailer, and I'm very excited about it. It came right up my alley, so I'm excited to talk about that. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to our podcast on YouTube, please do so. We'd really appreciate it. And if you're listening to the audio-only version on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, follow us over there as well. Joining me, as always, my compadre, Phil. Phil, how's it going for you this week?
It's going good. You know, it has been a slightly slower week for gaming for me. Mm-hmm. I've been doing a lot of leaving town at the end of this week, so a lot of getting ready, a lot of just working, and a lot of not really being able to focus as much on games. So I've been playing a little bit of Marvel Rivals here, and I got to play a little bit of Balatro today to sort of like warm my brain up for the show. Balatro came to Game Pass, which is great, very excellent. They also added some several new several new Joker cards called Friends of Jimbo, and they're like related to other video games. So it's like Ezio and Vault Boy. So
that's awesome. I haven't noticed that.
Pretty cool. A nice little update for the game, but
right on.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for Monster Hunter, baby.
You're excited.
I did the benchmark. Found out my PC can do it. I'm Joe Biden my time. What have you been playing this week?
Kind of an assortment of things. I checked out the Marvel Rivals update. I really like the new characters. I'm into the Thing and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. I think that they're good and they're not OP, which is nice because I think that Mr. Fantastic, when he came out especially, was a little OP. And I think he might even still be a little bit, but I think that has to kind of do with the fact that he is a pseudo tank as opposed to just a DPS, and you have to kind of respect him as such instead of just being another DPS guy. But I really enjoyed it. I checked out the new map, which was cool as well. I ranked up a couple times. I am almost in Diamond, so I'm excited about that. Thank you. But yeah, aside from that, I've been playing a little bit of Civilization. I'm kind of waiting for more updates because I don't want to burn out on it. And I would prefer there to be more updates. Like I'm still waiting on the auto explore for the scout. There's no auto explore in the game yet, which is so weird that it's not there. And I've watched like interviews of the devs like trying to justify why it's not there yet, and it just really doesn't make sense. It just feels like they're talking around not doing it. And
like the real reason is we forgot.
Yes, really. And then I've been playing quite a bit of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 still, and I have to get on a little mini soapbox about it maybe the haters are going to come for me, but I think this game is a little overrated. For me, I still think it's a good game. I'm not saying that it's not a good game, but I would probably give it like an 8 out of 10 as opposed to what most people gave it, which are like 9s, got some 10s here or there. People saying it's game of the year. It's not game of the year. There is too much jank that is in the game for it to be game of the year. And again, I do think it's compelling in how it breaks some of the RPG molds and everything like that, but I just had a really frustrating experience playing it last night, and it was just pure, like, the mission structure was broken, and like I'll try to walk you through it a little bit without getting into specifics to avoid any spoilers, but there's no real big spoilers here. But it's just essentially after you're allowed to, free roam and like actually start the game, there's a big mission that you have to do. And at the end of that mission, you end up being thrown in prison again. And so you get thrown in prison, and then you have to work in this castle to try to try and bide time to like figure out how am I going to get out of prison and whatnot. And you're not allowed to go in certain areas because you're essentially working as a servant. And so I went up to, in looking for more work to do around the castle, I went up to the cook of the castle, and she's like, hey, I need something unlocked down in the kitchen. If you have a lockpick, you can go do that. And I'm like, I do have a lockpick. Great. Let's go do that. And she's like, all right, well, it's down in the kitchen. And my character says, I'm not allowed in the kitchen. I'm not allowed down there. And she's like, no, it's okay. You're with me. And I'm like, okay, great. Now I have access to that area. And so instead of like just going to that area on my own, I followed the NPC down into the kitchen. And then as soon as I got down the stairs, all of the guards in there were like, what are you doing? And immediately started trying to kill me instead of like,
she didn't say nothing.
She didn't say nothing. And it's just like those kind of things. That's one specific example, but that kind of stuff happens all the time in that game. And there seems to be a divide for me between what the script is and what the characters are saying and how the gameplay actually responds to that. And when you're creating an RPG that relies heavily on those two things being in line, I can't say that it's a game of the year. It's still a very compelling game. I'm probably going to beat it because I do really enjoy it. But it's just some of the stuff that, like, I saw a popular streamer and podcaster this week say it was better than The Witcher 3. And I, like, vomited in my mouth. Like, it's just like, no, it's not better than The Witcher 3. Like, what are you talking about?
First of all, it doesn't even have any cool monsters in it. Second of all, I think there are parts of that game that are excellent. Like, if you wanted to play that game and just become like a make swords and like get really good at it, great, awesome. I do think for me, the story of that game gets in the way of the fun sometimes, and like the way that they craft missions, or it's just like, move 5 of this, do that. And I'm like, this is sort of just bad game design. It's bad, like, structured game design, whereas the game design outside of it is pretty good. The fact that you can, like... I mean, there is a lot of laws to learn. Weirdly enough, I remember shooting a pig with a bow and arrow, and then it was like, you've committed a crime. And I was like, what? Why? How? And it's like, every pig here belongs to the king. And I'm like, okay. All right. Nobody saw it.
Yeah, for real. If a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? It's like, I guess so, because like you committed. Yeah, that stuff's happened to me as well. So I just think that there is a little bit of world construction that, again, the gameplay. Also, like I in the tutorial section, it tells you how to use a lockpick. And the first time I used a lockpick, you have one lockpick. And I messed it up and I broke it because I was learning how to do it. I don't know how to do it.
No more shots after that.
And then it's like, you don't have any more lockpicks, which is like, fine. All right, I guess I'll get more later. But then when I have to lockpick something, the tutorial is gone. And so it's like, how do I do this? I never figured out how to do this. And so it's like one of those games that it's like, well, I better go look this up online because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I understand, like, that is a genre that people like, the games that you have to go online and look stuff up. But to me, it's the frequency in which I'm having to do that is too much. Like,
it just takes you out of it.
Yeah, it takes me out of it. It's like, well, I'm stuck in this mission. I have no idea what to do next. It's apparent that I was supposed to talk to one specific NPC, but there's no mission marker. I don't know where that person is. I don't know who I'm supposed to be looking for. And so, yeah, again, I really like the game. It is very compelling, but a masterpiece? No, it is not. So,
well, let's talk about what likely will be the game of the year.
Oh,
and of course, I'm talking about Alien Rogue Incursion. It's coming out this week.
Yes.
What is this game?
This is a VR game for the Quest, the new Quest, and it is apparently pretty freaking bad. I think we're kind of in a lull as far as VR gaming right now, and I think we're going to continue to be in that lull until we get some impressive new hardware coming out. But yeah, the graphics looked awful, especially because the new Quest is supposed to be touting, oh, we got this new chip and things run better. And then you look at this game and you're like, well, tell the video game that, because this looks like I'm playing a PlayStation 2 game. So
super up close to the TV.
Yes. So yeah, unfortunately, I believe it has a 5 out of 10 on IGN, so not a great score. Fans of Alien, maybe if you're a super Alien fan and you want to just be immersed and be terrified like you're in the movies, maybe you go and you buy this game and you try it out, but it does not look like a solid purchase, at least at launch.
Yeah, it doesn't seem great. On the other hand, Monster Hunter Wilds releases this Thursday night, Friday. Okay. And that is getting some pretty good reviews. I don't know where it's sitting on Metacritic right now, but a lot of the reviews I've seen have been like 8s to 10s, which is very exciting.
I saw Kind of Funny gave it a 9.5. I think IGN and GameSpot gave it an 8. So those are some major reviewers. What are some of the things you've heard about it so far, Phil?
I hear it's kind of like just a continuation of Worlds, which is really what I've been looking forward to in a Monster Hunter game, because Worlds is the game that pulled me in. I was like, okay, Monster Hunter seems kind of up my alley, but each game had been too sort of like too obtuse and kind of puts a lot of gates and guards up for you to get into it. You really have to invest a lot of time. But Worlds kind of took you by the hand and was like, this is why this world is cool. And on top of great monster design and weapon design and armor design, we've decided to make the actual world be like a part of it. So you're finding evidence of monsters like in their dung or like some scrapings off of a tree. So you're kind of doing research as you go to fight these monsters.
Yeah.
Massive levels, lots of game to it. So all the things that they've improved are, they kind of took what Monster Hunter Rise, which is kind of like a half step because it was closer to those old games with some inspirations from World, but like the world wasn't as fully involved. So you have a rideable mount. You've got more weapons to choose from on a mission now, so you can keep one with you, keep one on your mount. And just tons and tons of monsters, as well as a new mechanic mid-fight where you can kind of laser focus in and hit a weak spot on a weak spot.
A whole grain spot.
A whole grain spot on the monster. A weak spot, either like where you damage it and you see a scar forming, or let's say you're trying to like break off a Rathalos tail. You can aim at its tail and more effectively like cut that piece off for armor that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, all of these things seem very exciting, but really I'm just excited for like the jump. I feel like one of the best sequel series in video games is like Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2, where they just like, Assassin's Creed 1, they had a pretty cool idea. Then Assassin's Creed 2, they figured it
They just built on that beautiful foundation. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what they're doing here. That's what everybody's saying. So very excited to get into this one.
Yeah, my excitement for this game has kind of ebbed and flowed, and now I think now that it's about to come out, it's back up to a high. I am excited about it, and I kind of, the criticisms from GameSpot, IGN, in response to like giving it an 8 out of 10, has largely been there's not a ton of end game content there right now. And the other criticism is like it feels like a little easier for everyone and more streamlined. And let me tell you, I'm not a huge Monster Hunter fan, but as like a kind of a what do you call it? Not like a fair weather fan, but like I don't know.
A person who likes video games.
Yeah. As just a gamer in general, who's not a big Monster Hunter guy, that's something that I really wanted to hear, was because stepping into Monster Hunter World, where like I had all the end game content immediately, or not access to it, but like seeing all these systems and all these people you got to talk to and all these merchants, and then there's the event going on, is a little bit overwhelming. And it's because I joined the game later in its life, but knowing that things are a little bit more streamlined, that sounds nice to me. And I'm down to wait for more DLC to come out and more endgame content to debut. I like playing Monster Hunter with friends, And it's kind of like the same with Helldivers. I don't play it very often by myself. And so I think it'll take me a while to work through the game. And so I'm very hopeful about it. And I have yet to decide if I'm going to get it on my PC or my PlayStation. That's the biggest question right now. So
it's a tough one. If you want to know if your PC can run it, I would say there's a free tool you can download, a benchmark that you just download, and it runs through a couple sequences, and it like picks what it thinks are going to be the best settings for you, and you see where your frame rate's at.
Sure.
But I will say, kind of opposite end of it, when I played Monster Hunter World, I didn't really know it was a multiplayer game or knew other people that played it. Oh. So I just
you were doing that by yourself. Wow.
I was just getting real good. Like I had the bug lance, so all the battles took really long, but every fight felt so satisfying.
Right on. Well, yeah, I guess that's one way to get good. Raised by wolves.
Accidentally. Have no friends. That's the
So, all right. Well, you're getting on PC. That's good to know. Although it's crossplay, so it doesn't really matter. All right, let's get into the news this week. Another game cancellation and a studio shutting down from none other than Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers making a point to cancel and shut down studios once a week. It's their GD job. Yeah, for real. Or apparently Elon Musk is in charge of Warner Brothers now, and he's adding more cuts. So but yeah, this is extremely disappointing. Well, you know what? Let me back off that statement a little bit. It's not extremely disappointing because we never saw any Wonder Woman gameplay at all. We just kind of heard about it. I think people really just like the idea of there being a Wonder Woman game, especially because there are a lot more female gamers now, and it'd be nice to have a video game like classic superhero character that is a woman. And we still get like games like that, but they're not from like major franchises or anything. Like Control was a great game, but you weren't technically Jean Grey or technically Scarlet Witch or something like that. So
technically Jean Grey with a gun.
Yes.
You know, I will say the biggest bummer to me is that Monolith Studios is shutting down. Because Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor were some of my favorite games just in their genre. Like a really fun action game where all of a sudden there's all these extra layers and like diegetic in-game stuff for you to do. Like the Nemesis system belongs to Monolith and I guess now belongs to Warner Brothers, and we will likely never see it again because David Zaslav probably canceled it for a tax refund.
Yeah, Jesus. Oh my God.
But imagine, a Wonder Woman game probably could have taken this system. Like, I feel like there was a reason they had it, and they were going to do something interesting where you're like fighting Demogorgons and whatever, and forming relationships with them as the game went on. But
I don't know about that, man. I don't know.
I hope. It's Monolith. They got to do something good.
Sure. I mean, I think maybe the only silver lining of this is that Warner Brothers could license the system, something like that, and give other developers access to it. But yeah, really disappointing. The Shadow of War series, we are both huge fans of that game. I didn't think we were ever going to get a third one. But yes. Yeah, very, very disappointing. So, but yeah, unfortunately, not a lot to talk about as far as the Wonder Woman game, because again, we never saw anything. We just got, I believe it was just a teaser trailer that we got, right?
I think so, and it was just sort of her from, just her close up. But the other interesting thing is that in the Arkhamverse, after everything happened with Suicide Squad, she is the only character who is, I think, canonically dead. Because spoilers for Suicide Squad, Superman kills her. She's one of the few people who like survives and is fighting him and is also super heroed up. And then a clone of Superman from another dimension who becomes evil Superman, I don't know, is the one that kills her. So when Superman and Batman come back, it's like, oh, we were just off in a closet this whole game. Wonder Woman is still at the end of the day very dead. So
wow, that was just hard to follow. You just even that lore. So what you're saying is Suicide Squad killed Wonder Woman, and that's why the game is canceled. That Suicide Squad did so bad.
You know,
in a way.
I couldn't even blame Suicide Squad for this. Warner Brothers just craps the bed at every opportunity.
Yeah, it's true, unfortunately. All right, jumping into a little bit something more exciting. Jump Ship, a game that we talked about that I'm very excited about. Debuted, we got like a little trailer for it last year. I think it was like 8 or 9 months ago. And now we got another trailer. The beta is coming, and we got a long 10-minute gameplay video done by some devs. And it looks really freaking fun. And it's kind of like a game that I've wanted for a very, very long time. But at the same time, it is a copy of Void Crew, a game I have talked about a lot on this podcast. Essentially, it is a 4-player co-op space mission game. But in Void Crew, the thing is that most of the time in Void Crew, you're going to be aboard your ship doing something. Like sometimes you'll park your ship and go and hack into a system, or you have to go collect some loot in a facility or something like that. But this is very much like, yes, there is ship gameplay. You do have to have your roles on the ship, but you're also like landing somewhere, and then everybody gets off the ship, and then you do a mission. And then you have to get back on the ship and then get out of there. So there seems to be more steps to the mission structure. And obviously the biggest thing that I've noticed is, in comparison to Void Crew, is that the combat, there is actual combat. In Void Crew, there's no first-person shooter gameplay. It's a first-person game, but aside from like using a turret, there's no like small arms like I have an assault rifle or something like that. And this feels very much like all right, we're getting off the ship, Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody gear up, and we're going to go run this mission, and then we got to get the hell out of here. So like that kind of energy, that's what I want to do with my friends. That is a perfect co-op experience to me. Very excited about it. From the video that they showed off, the engine's running really well. So check this game out if you haven't already. And, if you have like a little buddy group you play friends with, this would be ideal for them.
You do have to have that conversation with your group of friends, like, hey guys, something just came across my desk that I'm very excited about.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to get you to invest $40 in this game. Not that that's necessarily the price. This is a news. I don't know if we cover this, but I know something that you're excited about, and I'm just sort of sliding this in here. There's a character creator for Dune Awakening, and they announced a release date, which I believe is May 21st.
That sounds right from what I've seen. Yeah.
Did we talk? Okay, I don't know if we talked about this in the past.
I don't know if we have on the podcast. So yes, I haven't played around with the character creator myself, so that's why I haven't spoken about it. But yeah, I'm super excited for that as well. But that's more like an MMO, and so I think I'm going to try that on my own regardless. But yeah,
it's May 20th officially.
May 20th.
We're on the story, everyone.
Yes. But yeah, for people looking to sign up for the beta of Jump Ship, if you want to try it out, you can just go to their website and put your email in and sign up for that beta. And then I think you can also wishlist it on Steam right now. There is no price listed for Jump Ship, so I don't know how much it's going to be. I would hope it's around $30, but we will see. So.
Okay.
All right.
Excited for this one.
Next up on the list, Assassin's Creed Shadows. We're getting some leaks going across the internet, so if you are planning on buying Assassin's Creed Shadows, you probably want to avoid any Assassin's Creed content for the next month, because people were able to purchase hard copies of the game through Facebook Marketplace. Yikes. And so a significant amount were sold. And apparently now people are auctioning it off on various websites, upcharging if you want to play a month early and that kind of thing. Ubisoft has come out and said, please try to avoid these leaks. And they've also said they have a few day one patches for the game that are ready to go. And so some of the stuff that you will see in these leaks is not necessarily their finished product. Avoid that stuff like the plague. I really want this game to succeed, Phil, but I could not think of a rougher launch, and the game has not come out yet.
Yeah, there is a lot of a lot of road bumps, I guess, between this game and a nice smooth launch.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen people still talking about Yasuke online. I'm just like, we need to that in and of itself, just in the climate, I guess, makes it tough. And then the delays and everything. I think this might be one of the best Assassin's Creed games, personally. Like, with the amount of time they've put into it, with everything they've shown us, all the improvements that they've made, they have been sort of, I think, sitting back on the pitch for this one, and hopefully they'll knock it out of the park. And they need to, because Ghost of Tsushima came out 4 years ago and
Yeah.
absolutely ate this game's lunch. And
Yeah.
Ghost of Yotei is scheduled to come out sometime this year. So,
Here's a question for you. If
mhm,
AC Shadows is
mhm,
successful, meaning like sells well, it rates like at least like an 8.5, maybe something like that, do
mhm.
you think Sony says, okay, Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yotei, why don't you come out in February instead?
It's possible. I think that Ghost of Yotei and Sucker Punch just have so much aura that they are not going to be told what to do by any, like,
Yeah.
they're going to release that game. The Grand Theft Auto 6 could come out that day that they plan for release, and they'd still be like, we know what we're doing. This is a cool samurai game. Take
Yeah.
your stolen cars and go do whatever.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. All right, so we got some Pokemon Go news as well.
Mhm.
What's going on with Pokemon Go?
So there has been a lot of buzz around Niantic selling to a Scopeley Games unit, which is a Saudi-owned company. I believe it is like part of the Saudi government that funds, like, different games things. So they have a lot of control over it.
Yeah, I think that's
Uh,
how their country works. They just have a lot of control.
they got a lot of gas, and that gas turns into power. But I guess what is so interesting and semi concerning about this is just all the data that Niantic has picked up through their games, specifically Pokemon Go, but also Monster Hunter Go, I guess. Um, and I believe Niantic made a Harry Potter game that didn't do that well as
Oh
well.
yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Before this, they made Ingress, which was a game about, like, kind of basically doing what you do in Pokemon Go, where you walk to a Poke Center and spin the thing. But you were going to certain Ingress points and doing all this. Basically, Niantic is great for generating user data, where they're going, what they're doing, when they're going and playing games. All of this stuff is so important for advertisers, um, that Niantic is in a great position to be able to sell that. Plus, they're working with the biggest IP in the world. The fact that they kind of want to sell to a possibly governmentally owned body is kind of concerning for
Shady and
me
weird.
personally.
Shady and weird. You
Shady
know,
and weird.
like, hey, we're not trying to make another game. We're not trying to do anything. It's like this. The point of this was to collect data. That really
Mhm.
sucks. And now we're seeing them be transactional with that data. So that, yeah, I hate this.
Whoops.
If you have Pokemon Go on your phone, please uninstall it. It is
Just
very bad.
throw your phone in a river. Give them that data.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
exactly.
I think one of the things about when it comes to free stuff in general, if something is free, typically you are the product. Remember that.
Yeah.
If there's anything that's going to come out of this, Marvel Rivals is free, but what you're getting is cool skins. That's what you're paying for at the battle pass. But yeah, so not great news.
No, no. So we'll just we'll roll over into some other not great news, but understandable news at the same time. Dauntless, the free-to-play Monster Hunter like game, is going to be shutting down, unfortunately. For people who aren't familiar with Dauntless, it's basically made with the Fortnite engine. It's obviously Unreal Engine, but the artistic style is pretty much identical to Fortnite. I actually played this game for a little bit, and something that I really liked about it, it had cross-platform account stuff. So it's like I could play on my PlayStation, I could play on my PC. It was all the same account, through Epic and everything like that. It was a fun game, and similar to Monster Hunter, obviously, it obviously ripped that off. And I'm kind of getting the sense with Monster Hunter Wilds around the corner this week, and they're probably declining numbers. They're like, all right, it's time to pull the plug on Dauntless. But it was a really fun game. I did really enjoy it. But yeah, I think Monster Hunter is just the superior product.
Yeah, I started playing Dauntless when I think I finished Monster Hunter Worlds, and I was like, nothing's coming out for a while. Let me just see what this free-to-play game is like. And I think it, the gameplay was immediately like pretty fun, pretty aggressive, really got you into it. But then the progression was very free-to-play game where it was like,
it was
you
just
need a lot of this to get
endless grind, endless grind, and yeah, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you.
I'll pay full price for my grind and know that at some point it ends. Thank you very much.
Exactly. So yeah, a bit of an understandable announcement there. Hopefully, the developers will come back with something new and fresh. Maybe we'll get Dauntless 2. Maybe we'll get something else. Who knows?
Maybe they'll pick a new game to copy. Honestly, like give me a new BMX game.
That's what you want. You want a BMX game. Okay.
I want a BMX Fortnite game. Actually, Fortnite is a really great BMX game. When you get the bikes, they're solid. Okay. They've already done it.
You got to play Riders Republic, man. It's so good.
That's true.
All right. Next up, we are jumping into our main topic. And the big announcement today, the day that we are recording this, is that Fable, that was originally supposed to be coming out later this year, 2025, is going to be delayed into 2026. But as a little consolation, Microsoft did release some pre-alpha gameplay today, and the game looks really good. The graphics are really pretty, really shiny game. I am suspicious about this, as I have been suspicious about other Fable announcements and promises in the past. But Phil, you were pretty excited about this. What were your initial impressions to the gameplay that they showed off?
Well, here's the thing. It's pre-alpha footage, so it is very little like actual gameplay that we will see. But it looks really pretty. The lighting effects, the sword play, all looks really, really fun. Yeah, I guess just like I kind of miss Fable in my life and like a non-serious RPG that lets you do kind of some more non-serious stuff. So I saw some footage of Avowed, to sort of go on a bit of a tangent.
Mm-hmm.
You can't like hurt anybody in town with your magic or with your weapons or anything. Everybody's sort of protected by this magical barrier, which is fine. Like, Avowed's trying to tell a story. But I like a game where you can do, like, stupid good and evil stuff and raise an arbitrary bar by, like, kicking a chicken or dunking an orphan's head in a toilet. And I feel like Fable, if they kind of go all in on that, as well as fun, punchy, arcadey combat, I'm going to be all in. And it looks like that's the option they're going. It looks very realistic, looks very pretty, but, I just want some of that Fable silliness, and we'll see if it's worth the wait in 2026.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think Fable does speak to a very specific like niche where you're kind of, I don't know, it's like a hardcore but softcore RPG at the same time. Like it doesn't, I don't think it takes itself too seriously, which is kind of nice. But I think some of the things that I've seen, like with Avowed, and similar to Dragon Age Inquisition, or not Inquisition, Dragon Age Veilguard, is that it's like, it feels a little safe. And like, I actually saw this guy talking about how the combat in Avowed, he realized, because he was a spellcaster, he realized that the gameplay in Hogwarts Legacy was better than in Avowed. Damn. As far as like spellcasting. Of course, you have different options for gameplay in Avowed, so that's, that needs to be taken into consideration. But yeah, I think Fable always tries to tell like a strong story where you are the center of it, but you get to really decide the direction of that story. And I think it speaks to kind of that older RPG, the 2010 RPGs like Mass Effect, and we were just talking about Sucker Punch with the Infamous games, where it's like you have the morality system in there. You can't necessarily change the total trajectory of the story, but you can flavor the story in a way that is optimal for you,
Yeah.
while still receiving a decent script. So
Well, that and like when you tell your friends about your time with the game, it is a very specific to you experience. You
mhm.
are describing like I remember when I was younger, and granted, maybe this is not a thing that could happen anymore, but I remember hearing about the door in Fable One, where if you like took your significant other and sacrificed them to it, it would open up and give you like a weapon of some a variety, and it's just cool. That was like for someone discovering that in game, that is a big cool moment that might only happen for that, not only happen for that person, but it's not going to happen for every person. It's not going to be
Yeah.
the way that everyone plays the game, you know.
Yeah, it's a very much like go to talk to your friends about it, figure stuff out together. Kind of like what I think tonally, it kind of reminds me of Legend of Zelda, but
Mm.
a little bit obviously more hardcore, a little bit more turned up than that. But yeah, I've been a huge fan of Fable, but I think the last good Fable game was Fable 2, to be
Mm.
honest. So I know that Peter Molyneux is not directly working on this game. He might be consulting in some way, but that is kind of nice, just because I
Mm.
think that company, Peter, and just the Fable series, they have made a lot of promises, and then not lived up to those promises.
Peter
Where
Molyneux?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
crazy.
Well, some of the kids don't know. They don't know
That's true.
the outlandish things you would say. So it's like we've
He did,
built a
he did a good
child
job
in
of
this game.
you
They
can
don't know
jump a
Milo.
tree anywhere and it will turn into a plane. It could, you never know. Um, I think that yeah, no, like Peter Molyneux pretty famously released a game that was just on your phone, and you would just tap a box until it opened, and one person opened the box, and that was the whole game.
Mhm.
Um, so glad he's not working on this one. Glad someone else, maybe who was inspired by the rest of the games, is putting their sauce on this one.
Yeah. Okay, so a little bit of a bugaboo with this pre-alpha gameplay. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think it's gameplay. I think it's rendered in engine, but I don't think this is it looks too good, to be honest. And there are other developers that work with better engines that like I just don't see how the game can really realistically look that good. Maybe running on some ultra PC, some $5,000-$6,000 PC, sure.
Mm.
But I don't really see it running that way on a PlayStation or an Xbox. And that is something to note. Also, Fable is slated to come out on PlayStation. Um, so, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I buy it. I think that it just kind of, I'm a little sus about it, I guess is all I'm saying. All I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I think here's my thing. I'm hoping that this is what late stage this console generation can look like.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima, for example, came out on the PS3, and it looked as good as stuff that we were. Or no, sorry, it came out on the PS4, and it looked as good, if not better, than stuff that we're still getting on the PlayStation 5, with some
Yeah.
rare exceptions.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
and again, like that's been a huge disappointment for me in this generation. It's like we all have to pay for new graphics cards on our gaming PCs, and then like there are some PlayStation games that look and feel absolutely phenomenal, but largely like graphics haven't really improved that much. It's more just been about like load times and like the size of the open world and stuff, like, which is cool, but I haven't, I've seen all these game demos, these tech demos that Unreal does, but we still don't have a game that looks like that. So if Fable
yeah.
can be that game, it can prove me wrong and come out and look fantastic. Please do it. Please do it.
Hey, more praise for Spider-Man 2. That was one of the first games that I felt like I get what they're doing with the load times here. Graphically, it was pretty impressive. Still, probably not as good as some of the Unreal 5 stuff they were showing us was. But I think in the beginning of the game, when you're playing as Miles and you get knocked across town, like out of the Sandman area,
Yeah.
like really, really quickly, and then all of a sudden you are in another part of town. Just a really impressive thing that, okay, all right, I see new console generation. Maybe it's not all about graphics, but
Sure. Yeah.
focus on graphics a little bit.
just a little, just polish it up just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, also something to note, and something that people really don't want to hear, is that it sounds like Sony is eyeing a new console release somewhere after 2028. So that's 3 years from now. That's not that far off, to be honest. So, and it lines up with them releasing the PlayStation 5 Pro in 2024. That's 4 years after the regular PlayStation came out. So if that's half its life, then yeah, 2028 would be the next point.
Yeah,
So,
next iteration.
so maybe we will get a graphical leap then, and that's just not what this generation is about. So
I think here's a good question for you. Do you think you would get a PlayStation 5 Pro or update your computer graphics card, considering they were around the same amount of money?
for Fable or for any specific game?
Just like, okay, I'm getting ready for not necessarily the full console upgrade, but like, let's say your computer comes back and it's like, hey, yo, listen, for Monster Hunter World, you're gonna need you need a little more juice.
This is kind of a bad question for me because I have a giant graphics card that's better than the one in my computer, and I just haven't taken the time to install it yet.
So you've already done the thing.
So no, it's I got it. I didn't pay for it. I got it for free. But
Very nice, very nice.
but the thing is, like, I'll have to do surgery on my computer, and I think I've told you about this. Like, I need to put it in a new case because the graphics card is literally this big. And so it will not fit in my current case, which is why I haven't done it, because I need to pull everything out, and then I have to put a new power supply in and then rewire everything. And so I've just been procrastinating.
No, that's a pain in the tush. That's a tough one.
I think I will eventually buy a PlayStation 5 Pro just because, like, I get a lot of use out of my PlayStation, and it's just really, it's like, it's the kind of thing I'll wait for, like a Christmas when I have some extra money. Then I'm like, all right, I'll treat myself with this. But it's not a big enough of a upgrade to make me want to buy it, I guess. So yeah.
I think for me, this is the first console generation I have not gotten the Pro version. I got PS4. I did the PS4 Pro. But right now I'm like, I'm not really seeing a reason as to why. I don't have like an 8K TV or anything,
Yeah, honestly, the main reason I'll do it is because, like, we have a PlayStation 5. It's like, well, I could have a PlayStation in each room. I'm not going to get rid of my other PS5. So, like,
between that and the Portal, you are fine wherever you go.
Exactly. So yeah, and I don't know. You can crank up the graphics more on a PC, and when you get to the nitty gritty, the real specific graphic settings, PC is the way to go. It's just more expensive because you buy one thing and you're like, oh, then I have to buy this thing as well if I get that thing. So
I got to see this number go up.
Yeah, I got to see this number go up. I can't just play Balaltro.
And what's funny? It is always those games that I play the most, like the ones that don't require my PC to have a good graphics card, that I'm like, I'm going to spend just a casual 200 hours on this one. Okay.
Just a cash 200. All right. Well, with that, unless you have any more Fable thoughts, Phil, I think we got to the end of our Fable thoughts. Yes?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, we will report on it as more stuff comes out. Hopefully, we will at the very least be able to see some more gameplay, not just a little dribbling that Microsoft gave us today. Probably at the Game Awards this year, still a long way off. We are still technically in February. So, but hopefully we will get more Fable details, and we'll report on those as they come out. But thank you for joining us this week on the GGG Podcast, episode 68. One more episode, Phil. I don't know what we're going to do for it, but it might get weird.
You know what? That'll be the week that I talk a lot about Monster Hunter Wilds, because that is what I will Be back. Oops.
Oops. So, yeah. All right. If you haven't subscribed to our podcast and if you enjoyed it, please do so. We really appreciate it. Give us a like as well. And if you're listening to the audio-only version on Spotify or Apple Podcast, follow us there. All right. We will see you next week. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.